They did it. They finally released the JFK files, and it created quite a bit of discourse online. The files also revealed many interesting things, to say the least.
CIA was watching Oswald before the assassination. And a man named Gary Underhill, who was connected to the CIA, fled Washington after he said that a small CIA clique was responsible, and 6 months later, he was unalived, and they said he took his own life. Where have we heard that story before? Hours before Oswald was unalived, the FBI got an anonymous tip telling them that you should protect Oswald because the same thing's going to happen to Oswald that happened to JFK, and it's going to be done by the same group. Despite that, no extra security was taken for Oswald, and he was unalived hours later.
Now, what I found really interesting is that even back then, the CIA was more than happy to use chemicals to cause crop failures in enemy regimes. And for some reason, people think it's crazy that they might spray those chemicals on our own people when the CIA has a history of hurting Americans.
And Operation Northwoods was engineered by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, including L.L. Lemnitzer at that time, who would later go on to head NATO. And the plan that would be conducted by presumably CIA and other military would include faking flags, if you catch my meaning, against Cuba that involved attacks on U.S. ships, sinking them, blaming it on Castro, as well as remote control engineering aircrafts and crashing them into buildings, and even staged news events with actors to spin the events.
The documents also revealed that using radio stations for propaganda is an old CIA tactic, and funny enough, George Soros is still using it, because why else would he buy 200 radio stations?
You've indicated there's a transaction where a Soros-backed group would take ownership of over 200 radio stations across 40 different markets.
Last but not least, the most ironic line from these documents shows us what JFK Jr. thought about Joe Biden. In a direct quote, he said, "Dear Senator Biden, you are a traitor, and we allowed this guy to run our country for 4 years." Just let that sink in. Now, these files are interesting, but Donald Trump should not stop here, because it's clear the people will not be satisfied until the Epstein files are also released unredacted. Next up, let's talk about another crazy story. Someone just lit a fire that could have burned down Las Vegas, and no one seems to be talking about it. I know there's a lot going on in this country, but people need to know exactly what happened. And it all began when someone started a fire at a Tesla showroom in Las Vegas.
As I mentioned earlier, we're still in the process of collecting evidence, but it appears the suspect fired at least 3 rounds into different Tesla vehicles, so we do believe a firearm was used.
As you can see, this wasn't some nut job taking out their anger on a stranger's car. This was arson, and it could have resulted in yet another wildfire disaster. And I'm saying this because Las Vegas and many nearby towns and counties are under red flag conditions for fire. So even if the conditions for an urban fire disaster aren't as favorable as in Los Angeles, this kind of thing can easily lead to billions of dollars in damages and the loss of many precious lives. And that's why I'm glad to hear what the FBI had to say about this.
Similar incidents, targeted attacks at Tesla facilities, is that violent acts like this are unacceptable regardless of where they occur. And specifically to those who might think that something like this is justifiable or potentially even admirable, we want to let you know it's a federal crime. We will come after you, we will find you, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
But that's what people need to understand. You can't just be throwing Molotov cocktails on electric vehicles that have highly flammable batteries inside them. Your selfish act of rage can easily lead to fire, especially in a country where every other city seems to be facing wildfire risk. Unfortunately, people keep doing this again and again because they usually don't get into as much trouble as they should. However, it's clear that the FBI is changing its attitude towards such criminal activities, and I'm all for it. And while we're on the subject of burning Teslas, didn't electric vehicles used to be cool? I mean, as far as I remember, these same people who are now actively trying to destroy these cars once provided subsidies for them.
Inflation Reduction Act. It gives tax credits to new electric vehicles, fuel cell vehicles, made in America. And for the first time, you get a tax credit if you buy a used electric vehicle. That's all coming.
But it's clear that their so-called environmental goals are much less important than their hatred for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That's why we keep seeing videos of people destroying cars all over the country. And this hatred doesn't just stop here. There's another very serious and dangerous side of it that once again the legacy media simply won't talk about. Did you know that any influencer who has said anything in favor of Donald Trump is now getting swatted?
Chase, are you inside? You acknowledge. Or Chase, can you step out with your hands up? Step out of your house now with your hands up!
Now, this is already insane, and trust me, I know how serious this issue is, but what really got on my nerves is the video Matt Van Swol posted on his X account. He also got swatted, and I find that disgusting because if you've been following Matt like I have, you will know that he is the hero North Carolina needed. I know that's a dramatic statement, but Matt here single-handedly did more to show the destruction of Hurricane Helene than all news channels combined. Even a couple days ago, he made a post to help out a veteran. A disabled veteran who was awarded 2 Bronze Stars and a Purple Heart is being threatened by his bank to pay a mortgage on a home that was completely destroyed during Hurricane Helene. The bank is now harassing him and threatening to kick him off his property.
This is October the 19th. This is what's left of my property. I mean, everything's gone. This whole neighborhood's devastated. It ain't no more.
And yet, the mindless criminals are now targeting him and his family because he told the world how useless Joe Biden's administration was. If that doesn't make your blood boil, I don't know what will. Swatting is a very dangerous thing, and I think we should make an example out of these people to ensure that this epidemic doesn't spread anymore. Now, the next story I want to talk about revolves around all those judges who keep overturning many decisions made by our president. For instance, a federal judge just stopped Elon and Doge from shutting down USAID and its operations.
A federal judge ruled the dismantling of USAID likely violated the Constitution.
And the federal judge also ordered the Trump administration to restore email and computer access to all employees of USAID, including those who were placed on administrative leave.
All right, breaking news. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to reinstate probationary workers let go in mass firings across multiple agencies.
And this keeps on happening anytime the Trump administration tries to fulfill one of its campaign promises. But I'm here to tell you it's not a coincidence. Let me show you something that will confirm that some very powerful politicians have been planning this for a while now.
President Biden working by our side. Senate Democrats have confirmed that these judges will be a barrier against attacks on our democratic institutions. At the district level, these judges will have the first and often decisive impact on cases involving voting rights in elections and democracy writ large. Thanks to these judges, it is now far more likely today than it was just a few years ago that these attacks on democracy will be blunted.
Just months before Donald Trump took office, these scheming lawmakers confirmed all these new judges to basically slow down the Trump administration from implementing any of its policies. And I don't know about you, but I don't think someone who wasn't chosen by the people should be able to dictate the President of the United States. Now, moving on, I want to talk about another interesting story. I'm sure you know that the president visited the Kennedy Center. Well, he said this while talking to the press there.
Kennedy Center, and it's in tremendous disrepair, as is a lot of the rest of our country, most of it because of bad management. This is a shame what I've watched and witnessed. They spent a fortune, $250 million, and they built these rooms that nobody's going to use, rooms underground. And I've often wondered, what are the big cubes that they have outside that block the view? They're cubes with a door in them so that people can get down to rooms that nobody's going to use. And it's a shame.
Now, this raised some alarms for people who thought the president was trying to tell us how shady that place is. Now, I don't know what Donald Trump was thinking when he made those remarks. However, I did find some interesting facts about the Kennedy Center that I want to share with you. For instance, the Kennedy Center was designed by a guy named Edward Durrell Stone. And did you know the same guy also designed the Museum of Modern Art in New York? And I'm sure it's just a coincidence that Larry Fink is a very important trustee of this place. But there's an even more confusing structure designed by Mr. Stone. In 1974, a building was completed in downtown Pasadena, California, that had no windows whatsoever. I mean, just look at it. Doesn't it look like a bunker? I don't know about you, but I really would love to know why this architect hated windows so much. Let me know what you guys think is the most shocking part of those Kennedy files that were finally released. I enjoy reading your feedback, so feel free to share your thoughts with everyone in the comments down below. Thanks for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.